The world is a cold anvil, and you are the heated iron screaming under the hammer of existence. Most men spend their lives trying to hide from the strikes, seeking the soft warmth of the hay or the easy lie of a comfortable bed. They call this peace. It is not peace. It is the slow, silent rot of a soul that has forgotten how to fight. You feel it, don't you? That hollow ache when the lights go out. The realization that you are fragile, that a single word from a stranger or a sudden gust of misfortune can shatter your spirit into 1,000 shards of glass. We live in an age that celebrates the soft, a time that prizes the petal over the thorn. But nature has no mercy for the weak. The wolf does not ask the sheep for permission. The storm does not apologize for the house it levels. If you want to survive the coming winter of the spirit, you must stop being a victim of your own mind. You must learn the ancient secret of the forge, that strength is not born, it is beaten into existence. Today, we strip away the illusions and look into the black sun of reality. We go back to the iron core of Stoicism, not as a dusty philosophy for scholars, but as a weapon of war for the soul. I am going to show you how to build a fortress where others find only ruins, but it requires a sacrifice. You must be willing to let the old, brittle version of yourself burn. If you are ready to kill the person you were yesterday, if you are tired of being a leaf blown by every wind of emotion, then stay with me. This path isn't for those who seek comfort. It is for those who seek the truth that remains when everything else is stripped away. If you wish to walk this path with us, consider your commitment. Subscribing here isn't about a button. It's a vow to yourself that you will never be weak again. Listen closely, for the first strike of the hammer is about to fall. The first chains you must break are not made of iron, but of the phantom threads you let the world tie to your heart. Look out upon the battlefield of your life. See the smoke of burning ambitions and the shifting tides of fortune. Most men are slaves to things they cannot touch. They bleed over the words of a fool. They tremble at the shadow of tomorrow, and they waste their marrow trying to control the uncontrollable. They are like a soldier trying to command the rain to stop during a siege. It is madness. It is the path of the broken. The Stoic warrior knows that the only thing he truly owns is the space between his ears and the fire in his chest. Everything else, your wealth, your reputation, even the very air in your lungs, is a loan from the universe. And the universe is a debt collector that never misses a payment. To forge a mind that cannot be broken, you must draw a line in the black sand. On one side are the storms, the betrayals, and the inevitable decay of the world. On the other side is your will. This is the inner citadel. If you allow your peace to depend on the smile of a stranger or the success of a venture, you have already handed your sword to the enemy. You are a prisoner in your own skin. You must become indifferent to the roar of the crowd. Whether they cheer or they jeer, the steel of your soul remains the same temperature. If you can feel this truth beginning to settle in your bones, if you understand that your power begins where your dependence ends, I want you to acknowledge it. Write the word unbroken in the comments below. It is a sign to yourself that you are no longer a leaf in the wind, but the rock upon which the waves shatter. We are just beginning to heat the forge. The hardest part of the metal is yet to be tested. Comfort is the silent killer of kings. It is a slow poison dripped into the ear of the soul, whispering that you have done enough, that the fire is warm enough, that the walls are thick enough. But a fortress that never sees a siege is merely a tomb in the making. If you wish to be unbreakable, you must invite the cold. You must step out of the golden light and walk into the howling dark of your own fears. The ancient masters did not just wait for disaster, they practiced for it. They wore rags while they had silk. They fasted while their larders were full. They slept on the hard earth to remind their flesh that it does not rule the spirit. Do not seek an easy life. Seek the strength to endure a difficult one. Every moment of hunger, every drop of sweat, every freezing dawn you face by choice is a layer of armor being fused to your character. You are teaching your mind that pain is merely information, a flickering shadow that has no power to stop the march of a determined man. The world will try to break you soon enough. It is the law of the blade and the whetstone. If you have not practiced the struggle, you will fold like wet parchment when the real iron bites. But if you have already walked through the fire by your own will, what can the world possibly do to you? It cannot take what you have already learned to live without. It cannot frighten a man who has already looked into the abyss and called it home. There is a deeper secret, however, a darker truth about the enemy that lives inside your own blood, waiting for you to stumble. Stay close, for what I reveal next is the only way to truly slay the coward that whispers in the back of your mind. This is the pivot point where the boy dies and the man of iron is born. Deep within the labyrinth of your own chest, there dwells a traitor. It is the voice that begs for 10 more minutes of sleep when the dawn is cold and grey. It is the serpent that whispers tomorrow when the work must be done today. This is the shadow self, the coward that lives on the scraps of your potential. Most men listen to this voice as if it were a god, mistaking its pleas for self-preservation for wisdom. But to the Stoic, this voice is an enemy that must be hunted and put to the sword. You cannot negotiate with a parasite. You cannot make peace with a part of you that wants you to remain small and soft. Every time you give in to a craving, every time you retreat from a challenge, you are feeding the beast that will eventually devour your legacy. The true battle is not against the world or the men who seek to bring you down. The true battle is fought in the silence of your own mind, at the moment of decision. Will you be the master of your impulses, or will you be a dog led by its stomach? To forge the mind of a conqueror, you must learn to watch your own thoughts with the cold eyes of a hawk. When fear rises, observe it as a curious mist. When anger burns, look at it as a wildfire that seeks to consume your judgment. You are not your feelings, you are the one who witnesses them. If this resonates with the warrior hidden inside you, if you feel the weight of this internal conflict, write mastery in the comments. It is the rallying cry of those who refuse to be ruled by their own lower nature. But realize this, even a master of himself can be crushed if he does not understand the nature of time. The clock is a grinding wheel, and it is thirsty for your life. Time is the ultimate predator. It does not hunt with fangs or claws, but with the steady, rhythmic drip of the seconds falling away from your life like blood from a wound. You act as if you have an eternity to become the man you were meant to be. You dither, you hesitate, you wait for the perfect moment to seize your destiny. But the sun sets on the righteous and the wicked alike, and the earth does not distinguish between the bones of a king and the bones of a beggar. Every breath you take is a portion of your existence that you will never see again. You are dying right now, in this very moment. The past is a graveyard, and the future is a mist. All you have is the razor's edge of the present. The Stoic does not fear the end. He uses it as a whetstone. He carries the image of his own skull in his mind, not to despair, but to burn away the trivialities that distract the weak. If you knew the wolf was at the door, would you spend your evening worrying about a slight insult or a bruised ego? No, you would sharpen your spear. You would stand tall. Death is the great clarifier. It strips away the masks we wear and leaves only the raw truth of what we have done with our time. If you are starting to see the urgency of this struggle, that your life is a finite flame in a vast, dark forest, then you are becoming part of a tribe that refuses to sleep through their own existence. This channel is for those who would rather die on their feet than live on their knees in the pursuit of comfort. We are the ones who look at the hourglass and see a call to arms, but understanding time is only one half of the battle. Now, we must look at how to turn the very obstacles that block your path into the fuel that drives you forward. The mountain does not bow to your prayers, and the sea does not part for your convenience. To the weak, an obstacle is a wall, a reason to turn back, to find a warm hearth and tell stories of what might have been. But to the man of iron, the obstacle is the very path he was born to walk. You see a boulder in your way? That is your training ground. You see a betrayal? That is the test of your solitude. You see a failure. That is the furnace where your arrogance is burned away, leaving only the tempered steel of experience. A small fire is put out by a sudden gust of wind, but a great blaze welcomes the storm. It feeds on the very air that meant to kill it. This is the secret of Amor fati. The love of one's fate, no matter how jagged or cruel it may seem. You must learn to look at your suffering not as a curse, but as the raw material of your greatness. You do not get strong by lifting feathers. You get strong by straining against the weight that threatens to snap your bones. Every time the world says no, and you stand your ground, your soul becomes more obsidian. The scars you carry are not marks of shame. They are the etchings of a warrior who refused to break. If you are standing before your own mountain right now, if you feel the weight of a struggle that has been trying to crush your spirit, I want you to name it. Not to complain, but to claim it as yours. Write fuel in the comments if you are ready to stop cursing the stone and start using it to sharpen your blade. It is the signature of a soul that has stopped being a victim and started being a master. But there is one final test. The mind is forged and the heart is hardened. But what happens when the world tries to take everything you love? How do you remain standing when the very ground beneath you turns to ash? The ultimate trial is not the roar of the storm, but the silence that follows when the storm has taken everything you once called yours. Imagine it. The walls you built are rubble. The people you loved are shadows. The gold you sweated for is dust in the wind. To the weak, this is the end of the world, a reason to collapse into the ash and wait for death. But for the man who has forged his mind in the fires of Stoicism, this is the moment of his greatest victory. Why? Because you cannot lose what you never truly owned. You were born naked, and you will die with nothing but the weight of your character in your hands. If your peace was built on the pillars of your possessions, you were always a beggar. But if your peace is built on the iron foundation of your own soul, then even the collapse of the heavens cannot bend your knees. This is the hardest strike of the hammer. It is the practice of detachment, not because you do not care, but because you care too much for your own freedom to let it be held hostage by the whims of fate. You must walk through the world like a traveler in a strange land, appreciating the beauty of the campfire, but never forgetting that the fire will go out and you must move on into the dark. If you can look at the ruins of your life and say, I am still here and my will is intact, then you have achieved a power that kings would envy. It is a lonely path, but it is the only one that leads to true sovereignty. If this truth hits you like a cold blade to the chest, if you realize that everything you fear losing is already gone in the eyes of time, then you are ready for the final revelation. Stay with me for one last moment, for we are about to pull the steel from the cooling trough and see if it holds its edge. The steam rises from the cooling trough, a ghost of the heat that once threatened to melt your very essence. You reach in and pull out the blade. It is not pretty. It is scarred, dark and heavy with the weight of the lessons you have endured. But it is yours. You have forged a mind that the world can no longer break, because you have finally realized that the world never had the power to break you in the first place. Only you had the power to surrender. The whispers of the coward still echo in the distance, but they are drowned out by the steady beat of a heart that has made peace with the storm. You are the master of your internal citadel now. The chains of comfort have been shattered, the fear of time has been weaponized, and the obstacles in your path have become the very stones you use to build your throne. But remember this, warrior. A blade that is never used grows dull. The forge was not the end, it was the beginning. Every sun that rises will bring a new test, a new hammer blow, a new temptation to return to the soft, rotting life of the masses. You must choose the fire every single day. You must wake up and sharpen your will against the cold reality of existence. If you are one of the few who have made it to this final strike, you are no longer a spectator in the Colosseum of life. You are the one in the arena, bloodied but unbowed. This path of iron does not end here. If you are ready to delve deeper into the shadows of the ancient masters and further temper your spirit, the next chapter is already waiting for you. Choose the next video on your screen and continue your ascent. The world is still cold, but now, you are the fire that burns within it.